The first step in purchasing or selling Massachusetts residential real estate is the presentation and acceptance of an offer to purchase real estate, oftentimes referred to as the offer. Typically, a buyer's agent, if the buyer is represented by a licensed real estate professional, prepares the offer to purchase on a pre printed standard form provided by either the Greater Boston Real Estate Board or the Massachusetts Association of Realtors and presents it to the seller for review, modification, and acceptance. These standard forms, called promulgated forms, are created by licensed attorneys on behalf of organizations like the Greater Boston Real Estate Board and the Massachusetts Association of Realtors. These promulgated forms are used by real estate agents because an offer is a contract, and real estate agents and brokers are not lawyers, so they shouldn't be drafting contracts. In practice, real estate attorneys are often not involved in the offer stage itself. However, given the scope and the scale of the transaction, the fact that the offer sets the overall trajectory for a deal, if the seller has already engaged a real estate attorney for representation, consultation with that real estate attorney is recommended. Your seller will absolutely need a real estate attorney. It's the seller's attorney who typically provides a first draft of the purchase and sale agreement, otherwise known by its initials P and S. So here's an area to set expectations with your client early in the transaction process. Get them to engage with their attorney early, and if they don't have one, provide a handful of suggestions to them. Related to reviewing an offer, attorneys oftentimes work off a flat fee, and running an offer by them is probably welcome. And there would oftentimes not be an additional fee for a brief consultation. Demonstrating thoughtful expectation setting and preparation for your client goes a long way. Engage a real estate attorney early. Waiting until you have an offer in hand or waiting until you have an accepted offer is frankly too late. You should evaluate attorneys and have one lined up in conjunction with listing the home for sale and publishing it into the multiple listing service, or MLS. What you also need to know is that an accepted and signed offer is a binding legal contract. Many sellers and even some real estate agents and brokers believe an offer to purchase is merely a formality. Many assume a truly binding contract is only established when both parties sign the more extensive P&S. That is not true. Massachusetts case law has established that a fully signed and executed standard form offer to purchase real estate is both legally binding and enforceable, and that's even in the event that the offer is subject to the parties signing a more comprehensive purchase and sale agreement, which occurs in nearly all residential real estate transactions. In looking at an offer, let's remind ourselves of the minimum requirements for it to be valid. For a contract for the purchase and sale of real property to be valid and enforceable under the Massachusetts Statute of Frauds, you must have a written memorandum with the following minimum requirements. It must be in writing. Because of the statute of frauds that governs residential real estate transactions, real estate contracts must be in writing, except for leases that are less than 12 months in duration. It must identify the parties, carry an accurate description of the property, have a recital of consideration, be signed by the party to be charged, and finally, there's an underlying basis for rescission, be that misrepresentation, fraud, or undue influence or duress. These are some of the things that you've more than likely are remembering back about your pre-license education. The standard form offer to purchase that we're going to walk through in detail creates the framework within which these minimum requirements are met. Also, we need to know when an offer expires or terminates. This is a topic that real estate agents and brokers confuse. The first thing to keep in mind is that an offer to purchase is continuous, meaning that when a buyer makes an offer to buy, the offer to purchase is good until one of the following occurs. Rejection. An offer to purchase is good until the seller or offeree rejects the buyer's or offerer's offer. Until making a counteroffer, an offer to purchase is good until the seller rejects the buyer's offer by making a counteroffer. For instance, the seller counters at a higher price point. Revocation. An offer to purchase is good until the buyer revokes that offer, so long as it is prior to the seller accepting the offer to purchase. Time expires. An offer to purchase is good until the seller fails to accept the offer within a stated period of time. For instance, offers to purchase are often on the table until a certain day and time, after which the offer expires. And incompetence or death. An offer to purchase is good until the death or insanity of either the seller or the buyer prior to acceptance of the offer to purchase by the seller. What constitutes incompetence? That may include minors, so those under 18, persons declared legally insane, those convinced of treason as they can't own real property, possibly someone who is under the influence of drugs and or is intoxicated at the time of signing a contract. And then you finally have illegality. An offer to purchase is good until there is a subsequent illegality by either party at any time. A real estate contract that is legal in the eye of the courts needs a valid offer and an acceptance of the offer, a legal object versus one that is illegal, of course, competent parties to the agreement, and consideration or value exchanged between both parties.